Hello everybody, Kai Waza with you. Welcome back to my channel. Just having my second cuppa here in my Christmassy, wintry mug, whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna do a Q&A. We haven't done a Q&A in a while, and as fate would have it, my laptop is actually in the shop, which kind of limits some of what I can do as far as recording and whatever. So yeah, the what do you call it, DVD drive, CDR drive died in it, which happens. It happens because I use it like every day and I use it a lot, so they never last they never last as long as the laptop does. So I have to get it replaced, and it turns out he had to order one. They didn't have one around that was going to fit, so I won't be getting it back for a few more days. So in the meantime, which is fine, but in the meantime, let's do another Q&A, because I still have a ton of questions I haven't answered yet. And today, what I had done quite a while ago was I wrote down or pulled out a lot of the questions that related to my record collection and my music on my radio stations, and thought I would address those just in one video kind of together, because you may or may not, that may be what you're most interested in, that may be what you don't care about at all, so it gives you the option to watch it or not. These are all going to be music related to, and in case you don't know, I do have a huge Hawaiian record collection, over 2,500 records. I've been collecting them my whole life. That is a permanent collection. I don't like sell things or whatever. It's permanent collection. Then I also have a whole bunch of easy listening records that are not in a permanent collection. I get them at dollar bins and cheap places, thrift stores, and I digitize them for my radio station, and then they go elsewhere, either out to a friend that does yard sales or back to a thrift store or something. They don't stay. I live in a studio apartment, so I can't keep 10,000 records in here. I do hang on to some of the budget label ones that I just have a real emotional attachment to, and I love to keep those and look at them while I'm listening to music. So those I keep, but everything else goes. And also I have a lot of CDs, but they're pretty stationary as well, because they don't take up that much room. So yeah, that's pretty much a permanent collection, I guess. And I have 3 radio stations online with my music collections. First is Hawaiian Hi-Fi, that's music from the Hawaiian vinyl collection. I have Moody Mood Music, which is music from primarily vinyl, old vinyl, easy listening records. And I have Radio Green Goddess, which is primarily, or 100% actually, CDs of new age music with a lot of nature sounds mixed in with it. Those are mostly from the 90s. That was kind of a big thing in the 90s. So that's kind of the music we're talking about here. Okay. So let's just get started on these. And some of these relate to the, the radio station aspect as well. First question, are the records I purchase a business expense? No, they're not. Although I suppose they might be. They might be able to be. I don't know, but they aren't. Yeah, I don't do that. I don't know all the paperwork involved. And yeah, maybe it is possible that could be written off. I should maybe look into that. I don't know. I don't really spend a tremendous amount of money on records, though. Most everything I get is coming from a dollar record bin. With the exception of the Hawaiian records now, I do spend some money on those, because most of the ones I get now are ones from overseas, other countries, Hawaiian music recorded in Japan or Europe or something, and those are a little more expensive. Is the song rotation on the radio stations auto-generated? Yes and no. I do use the same system for all of the radio stations. You upload the files onto the playlist of the radio station. I recently converted everything to a lower bit rate or whatever, which is what they're supposed to have, so you can actually fit something like 6,000 or 7,000 songs at one time in rotation, which is that's a ton of music. And the Hawaiian one would be filled. It's not totally filled up yet, but it will be filled up. The other stations, I'm not filled up to that extent yet. But what you can do what they call auto DJ, which is just, it will random auto DJ, and it will just randomly play songs, no order. You insert the ad spots and your IDs if you have them, whatever, and it will just run on its own. That's okay, except I keep Christmas music on the Easy Listening on the Hawaiian station all year round. Like, I've uploaded those files and I keep them on the playlist so I don't have to re-upload them and do it every Christmas. But I don't want them to play in the rest of the year, so I don't use the random auto DJ. What I do is they have something called clock wheels, which we have in actual radio, terrestrial radio too, which is, if you just think of a clock and it's kind of divided into 60 minutes, you have categories of songs, which I do. Like on Easy Listening, I have male vocal, female vocal, group vocal, lush instrumental, which is string based, and sparkling instrumentals, which are not string based instrumentals. And you make a clock wheel. So I do. It's like, male vocal, sparkling instrumental, lush instrumental, female vocal, sparkling instrumental, group vocal. You can set it up however you want to, right? And I do on all the stations, and I have several different clock wheels that every once in a while I will change. Like, one of them might be primarily instrumental, and another one might be equal parts instrumental and vocal, whatever. Within the categories and the clock wheels, you can designate also, like, from the oldest album or the newest album or the oldest artist or the newest artist. You can do that too, so you can make sure it kind of draws from everywhere in the music collection that you have uploaded. So I use the clock wheels. Auto DJ, then you put it on auto DJ on that clock wheel, and you don't have to touch it. It will just run the songs in that clock wheel that you've set up in that kind of a rotation. It will automatically, you can set this all up, like how far apart you want the same artist to be, not within the 90 minutes or however long you want to set it. You can set it, not have a song repetition within a certain length of time. You can set all that stuff up in your clock wheels, and then just set it on auto DJ under a particular clock wheel, and it will run itself. That's what I do. So it is sort of auto-generated, but not 100%, because you have set out a format on, like, vocals to instrumentals and what kind of instrumental. So you have control over that. Does that make sense? Because I know these things because I work in radio, so, like, I don't know if that makes sense to people, if that's clear. You can set it up specifically by playlists that you create. You can literally, like, sit down and pick out songs and make a 4-hour long playlist or something and just let it repeat. That I don't do that. Or you can do live, which I don't ever go live on there. It's too complicated. You can, if you choose to, pick exactly what songs it's going to play on the station, but I don't do that. Do I feel the station has a certain theme? This was about moody mood music, like vintage dentist office waiting rooms music. For moody mood music, yeah, I kind of alter sometimes with what I feel about it. Sometimes I look at it more as like a classic, beautiful music, easy listening station, which those were really formatted primarily instrumental. So I would do, when I'm in that kind of a mood, because I do change it often, I have a clock wheel that's 3 vocals to every instrumental. So it literally goes like, 3 instrumentals to every vocal. So it'll be 3 instrumental songs, 1 vocal, and then it alternates between group, male and female, with group represented twice as often as individual male and females. And that to me gives it a much more classic, easy listening elevator sound when it's primarily more instrumental. But lately I also sometimes, and this is what I've been doing for quite a while now, run it equal vocal to instrumental, just 1 instrumental, 1 vocal, 1 instrumental, 1 vocal. Because that's a little more foreground than background, and it's also more like, I guess, somewhat of a what you would call middle of the road format in the back in the day, where it was a little poppy. I mean, because there were more vocals, so it was a little more foreground, and the instrumentals make it more heavily instrumental, make it more background, more like elevator music. So I kind of vacillate between those two, but it's kind of middle of the road right at the moment. I just sort of I'm liking one vocal to one instrumental. I'm just running it that way. I don't know. I never hear from anybody in the sense of whether they like it one way or the other, and it seems to not affect the listenership, actually. The listener rates seem to be pretty steady, whether I'm doing it primarily instrumental or equal vocal and instrumental. Is there any artist I would not... Oh, in the Hawaiian music, I should say, I kind of do... I don't... It's very rare that I will run that primarily instrumental. There have been a few times when I've gone primarily instrumental, but I don't normally keep it that way because I just feel, I don't know, like I'm really highlighting Hawaiian recorded history, and there is a lot of instrumental steel guitar kind of stuff, and I love to play all of that. But I think it should balance out with a lot of the vocal groups and vocal artists and singers as well. So I tend to run that one more frequently on a equal vocal instrumental mix. That's what I've been doing now, and I kind of tend to run it that way more often than not. Once in a while I'll go instrumental because I'm just feeling it for a while. Is there any artist I would not play? Let me think. Hawaiian music, kind of no. Well, yeah. There are certainly within the Hawaiian music a lot. There are, authentic artists, authentic music, and then there's like inauthentic, very I would call it SpongeBob SquarePants kind of Hawaiian music that's just crazy steel guitars, and it's very, I don't know, touristy is the right word. I kind of don't like that word, but whatever. Not native kind of music, more like the people visiting Imagine, sitting around having cocktails and Mai Tais and watching hula dancers, and I love that kind of music. I totally love it. And I do, so I would say no. I mean, there's a lot of music on that station, the Hawaiian station, that a lot of Hawaiian musical purists would absolutely cringe over and just be like, oh my God, how can you play that stuff? And I'd be like, I love it. I don't care about authenticity. I don't. That's not what the station is about. Hawaiian Hi-Fi is not about promoting only legit Hawaiian music. There are people that do that, and that's amazing and wonderful, and I love it. That's not what I'm doing. I'm playing a sampling of all the Hawaiian and authentic and inauthentic from around the world in the era of the vinyl record. And I do throw in some exotica, and I throw in a little bit of newer exotica or newer something if it falls in that genre, which a lot of it does. So it fits in well. And that's what I'm doing, and I'm very unapologetic about it, and if you want to have a radio station that does a certain something, I mean, you pay for it and put it up and do it. I'm doing what I want to do. Easy listening. Is there any artist I would not play? Well, anything that gets too rock. I definitely go a little bit disco sometimes, instrumental disco especially, because I kind of love it. But anything that I wouldn't play on easy listening, I questioned whether I should play some Anita Bryant. I had picked up a couple of Anita Bryant albums, and as a gay person, I'm sort of like, okay, I'm old enough to remember all the scandal and stuff with her, and should I play it or should I not? But I just figured, you know what? Oh, F it. Bygones are bygones, whatever, who cares? And it's like, I love Tammy Faye Baker too, I do. So I play Anita Bryant. I mean, hey, forgiveness, right? I'm not a believer in cancel culture myself, so play some Anita Bryant. What the heck, but I won't play something that's too rock or too hard. So I don't want the music on mood music to be jarring. I mean, it can be uplifting, it can be faster and sort of peppy and enjoy it, but it shouldn't be like, something really jarring, that's sort of counterintuitive to what it is. On Green Goddess Radio, the New Age, is there any artist I wouldn't play? Yeah, that's a hard line. That's a hard line to figure for me. I don't know that I've completely 100% figured it out, because I am playing some stuff, Mannheim Steamroller, and some stuff that's kind of borderline sometimes. Like, I don't know, is this New Age, or some that's maybe like an artist. There's some of the New Age, CDs with the jazz and nature sounds. There's a point too where I kind of go like, okay, is this maybe too much jazz and not enough New Agey, or is it like, I don't, like, you shouldn't feel like you're in a jazz club with wolves howling or something, but I don't know. I haven't exactly figured out the line for Radio Green Goddess yet. I'm still kind of feeling that out. So I definitely do classical music on Radio Green Goddess with nature sounds. So I definitely do the classical stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. But Hawaiian, I will say, the one thing that I have taken off of Hawaiian hi-fi radio that I have at times had up there, and not to be offensive to anybody, but are some of the Chinese Hawaiian records. I have picked up over time some records of Chinese music, probably like from the 50s and 60s, recorded in the 50s and 60s, with a Hawaiian steel guitar, and then they also will play their own instruments, like in a little combo or a little orchestra. Specifically, not the ones from Japan, but the ones from China, the Chinese ones. Sometimes, yeah, I kind of played them for the novelty of it, but then I took them off. I'm like, it doesn't sound pretty to me. Like, it's very Chinese, like, sounding, the tone scale, and the way they play the steel guitar is not really Hawaiian. It's more like a single string playing, and it doesn't really make the best use of the instrument, I think. So I've geared away from programming any of the Chinese Hawaiian records on Hawaiian hi-fi. Nothing personal. Love China, love the Chinese, I do. But yeah, I don't like their Chinese Hawaiian records from like the 50s and 60s. And I have several.
Well, my friend and I here are sitting around awaiting our next assignment on Earth. Fortunately, while we're waiting, we're being serenaded by the lovely, uplifting sounds of Radio Green Goddess, the online radio station that all the angels love. They play uplifting, meditative, mystical, lovely, New Age music, most of it with the beautiful sounds of nature. It makes one contemplate and relax and become one with the universe. So while you're waiting around, why don't you listen to Radio Green Goddess on Live 365? The link is below in the description. And perhaps I'll see you very soon back on Earth.
Are there any records on a Station Grail list that I hope to come across sometime? Yeah, I mean, moody mood music, I'd love to come across Enoch Light's Spaced Out in a dollar bin, because I really think that could happen one day here. I think it could happen that I might find it at a thrift store one day. That's kind of a holy grail I would love to have. Anything with theremin, there are a couple out there. I mean, I have a couple Les Baxter theremin ones, but there are some other ones. The theremin was that instrument that I don't know if you ever touched, you don't touch it. If you've ever seen it, you don't touch it. It's electronic. It came out, I don't know, like what, in the 40s or something, and they started using it on some records, usually like ethereal, and it sounds like, like it's weird. And what ended up happening is it was used for something. I don't remember what. Spellbound, what movie was it first used as? Anyway, it was used as some creepy movie theme, and it immediately sort of went that direction. Like that instrument became identified with scary movies, sci-fi movies, eerie stuff. And then it was used almost solely in that respect for that kind of music, and it never was really used in like easy listening stuff again. But there was a brief period when there were a few records put out that have the theremin in sort of an easy listening setting, and I would love to come across the ones that I don't have. I would love to come across them. I do have a few programmed on Moody Mood Music, you might have heard if you've listened off and on. Yeah, I want to find more BZN. It's a European group that's kind of, I guess, Eurotrash or whatever over there. They're kind of like, done with it. They're kind of like ABBA in a way. I was introduced to them many years ago by a friend who had a burnt CD of somebody's that had a bunch of their songs on it. And I'm like, this is amazing. It's kind of ABBA-esque, very pretty songs, a lot of harmony, and kind of either emotionally sad or sort of happy feel-good songs. And I love them. I have found one record here. They're a European group. They never were popular in the States, so their music is not over here. It is in Europe, and I'm going to be getting some gradually. But I do keep an eye out for them because I love them, and they're purely great on an easy listening station. They're so totally great. Hawaiian music. I've had some holy grails that I've managed to pick up amazingly. Are there any more? I just won one. The most exciting thing for me now, because it's kind of hard to come across something I don't already have or don't know about. And I every once in a while, and it just happened, something will pop up on eBay or Discogs or somewhere that I have never seen before, that I had no knowledge about. And it just happened on eBay, and I freaking got it for almost nothing, which is amazing because I was expecting, okay, people are going to bid on this because what the heck is this record? I don't even remember her name. It's some lady, blonde lady with the grass skirt and on the cover, and she's some kind of dance instructor, and she has a dance studio, and I think it was Oklahoma, and apparently she did several records, looking from the front and back of the cover that they had posted, but it's Hawaiian songs, because she would teach people how to hula dance in her dance studio, and these are Hawaiian songs that she wrote. None of them are like the standards. They're all original songs, which I love when I find original, new, old material. Like, oh my God, it's so exciting. And yeah, it's her. There's some singing. I think that it was organ and percussion and something and people singing. So it could be horrible. I mean, I might get it and I might be like, oh my God, this is awful. But it could also be awesome because sometimes those records are so cool when you find something like that. So I got it for like $3 or something ridiculous. Like, I thought people were going to bid on that and they didn't. I was like the only bid. So I got it for like next to nothing, and it's in the mail, and I'm excited to hear it. So for me, the grails at this point are records I had no idea existed. So I couldn't tell you what they are because they're ones I don't know about. Yeah. How much time do I spend on it? Music, basically, I guess, in the radio station every week. It's hard to say every week, but I'll tell you, I pretty much work on it every day. Either, when I go thrift shopping, which I do once or twice a week, sometimes more than that, I'm looking for records like I need any more. And at home on the computer, on the laptop, which is where I do most of my work for the radio station, every day I work on at least one of the stations doing something, whether it's uploading music or making new IDs or switching some things out. And then digitizing, because this is all vinyl recordings. In order to be uploaded onto this radio station, they have to be a file. I make them MP3s. There's a couple different files they can be, but I use the MP3. So I have to record. You have to remember, I have to record every record manually by itself. So I have to sit and record it into MP3 files. So it's a literal thing that takes a time to do that, right? So, and I would say it depends on the day. I mean, there are days when I might spend like 5 hours working on it. I might just sit and record several albums, digitize things, upload things, burn new age CDs into the Green Goddess station. So I might spend like 5 or 6 hours on it some days. And then there's a very few rare days once in a while when I don't do anything. There are some days, and they're not that often. I'd say maybe 3 or 4 days a month, I would say probably, when I don't do anything with the music. When I'm just like, okay, either I'm too busy with stuff, which is very unusual, that I just don't have time to do it, or there are burnout days. I mean, there are days, not necessarily burnout, I should say, because I really enjoy doing it, obviously, or I wouldn't be doing it. But there are days when I'm like, okay, no, I just want to like drink coffee and read my book and, go to the beach or something. I'm not going to work on it today, but I listen every day, every day. So I spend a lot of time on those radio stations and on the record collection. I only work part-time. I'm semi-retired, so I only work 3 days a week, usually 3 or 4 or 2, depending on what's going on. And, the other times I spend a lot of time working on the radio stations and music because I genuinely enjoy it. Do I make any money off of it? No. In fact, I spend money. Not a lot, though. The stations are, well, initially to just put a price tag on it, it's $59 a month to have the radio station, one radio station. That's what you pay them to have all the software that you need. It's very easy, live365.com. And I love them because they make it very easy for you to do, very easy to set up, program it how you want, and do the artwork and do everything. They have all the software programs and things in there. They make it very simple, and I would prefer to go that route. I like that. And then they have advertisers, right? And so you have to have 4 minutes in an hour dedicated to their ads that you can pick where to insert them, or in how many at one time or whatever. I usually do 2 minutes, 2-minute breaks within the hour. That are their advertisers that pay for all of this to happen. So you can sell your own ads too and add them in addition to that 4 minutes. I've never done that. I'm not saying I never would. I just never have, but it's a possibility. But this, for me, like I said, it's a hobby. So the only way, the Radio Green Goddess, when I started that one, I signed up during a special, so it's only $50 a month, and the other two are $59. You do get a discount depending on how many people are listening during the ads or how many ad impressions it makes. I don't know exactly how they figure it or whatever, but you get a certain a dollar amount for every person or however they figure it, that is taken off of your monthly bill based on listenership. So you'd have to have a really large listenership to make a huge difference, but I do get something off every so often. There have been months where I got like $10 off, because there were enough people listening during ad impressions or whatever. So no, in answer to the question, I do not make money. I spend money on it, but it's a hobby. That's okay. There are people that try to make try and make money off of it. And I think it's possible, but it's a lot of work because you have to do a lot of advertising and a lot of stuff. And I'm just not that, it's a hobby for me. Like if people listen to it and enjoy it, which I know there are people that listen to it and enjoy it, I hear from them, that's great. If, if 1 or 2 people listen and enjoy it, that's cool. That's fine too, because I listen to it, I enjoy it, it's fun for me. It's not like having your own little radio station. It is having your own little radio station, and it's kind of like, yay, this is fun. I can just program what I want and put it out there. So yeah, it is. How is it monetized is another question. It's monetized through live365.com, selling advertisers they sell ads and insert them into the programming. We provide, the broadcasters provide the content, right, from our collections or whatever, that we put the music or whatever, talk, whatever it is that's out there. That's how it works. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I don't want to have a gigantically long video. We have some more questions on this, but at least we knocked a little bit of that out. I hope that helps if you're interested in it and had questions about it. And feel free to, if you have other questions about this, you can submit them down in the comment section below, because I'll be doing another one at some point specifically relating to the music collections and the radio stations. Thank you for watching. I'll probably get another video before I go on my trip to Tulsa, probably Wednesday. Oh yeah, I'm sure I will, because I leave on Monday night, so I'm sure I'll get at least one more video out. Probably a cheap lounge. By then I should have my laptop back and I can get back into all that. So yeah, please subscribe or subscribe, whichever you prefer, if you want to see more, and hit the notification bell. And please leave any comments below. Check out the radio stations if you're interested. They'll be linked below also. Or at least one of them will. Anyway. Without my laptop, that makes things a little more difficult too. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk to you later and have a good week.